welcome to Wren's Wasteland Tutorials. This is one for new players. It's the second one in the series for new players. If you just started playing Fallout 76, you'll have came down from the vault. You'll have made your way past the Moonshiner's Shack, Gilman Lumber Company, Wixom Homestead, and more than likely the isolated cabin. You'll have made it all the way down here to the Wayward, and this is the Overseer's Camp. The Overseer's Camp has a box in it that'll have a few items from the Overseer, as well as a note to get you to go over into the Wayward if you haven't already done so. There'll also be a plan over here and a few items that can be recycled and processed so that you can fulfill some of the basic requirements or basic missions that they give you at the start of the game. There's also a stash box right here that you can use. There's a cooking station, an armorer's bench, weapons workbench, you know, a decent little amount of stuff, and a bed and a chair if you really need a place to camp out for your character. There's also these berries, which wherever these berries spawn at in the game is also a location that you can always also find the Flatwoods monster will show up at some point. Okay. So what am I doing here? Well, I picked this location to show you 3 different small builds that you can do as a beginning player. So that you'll have 3 simple camps that you can put together relatively easy, and I'm going to make them all relatively small. This area does get attacked, as you can tell right over here. These are some liberators. Recently dead. Things spawn and it will travel down the road, over the hills, around the trees, whatever. There'll just be stuff that'll show up here from time to time. It's a good place to start out for a starting player because you do have the Overseer's Camp right there and those workbenches to use if you don't have the plans for them yet. Because the way that you get those plans is to travel around and go to places like Flatwoods and to Charleston Station and all these other little places that are around here to collect little plans and things like that that open up items in your camp that you can build. The other place you want to take over at some point is one of these workshops. The Gorge Junkyard is one of them. There's another one up here that is Tyler County Dirt Track, another one up here. They're scattered all over the place. Hemlock Holes. Each one has the ability, has resource nodes that you can set up resource recovery and to mine things like concrete, acid, oil, steel, different items that are, you know, necessary in game as you play for a longer period of time that you'll need for sure. So I'm going to throw down 3 simple builds real quick. I'm going to use the wooden structures for most of it, and I'll start off with the first one right here. Let's see, let's get a decent spot. That one right there is where we'll start off at. I'm going to do a 1 foundation build to begin with, and I'm going to show you using the wooden structures. As you can see, there are many different build kits, but the one that you're going to start off with is this one right here, this wooden one. This will be the first one that you get in game. It'll be the one that they freely give you. Everything else will be something you'll either have to find in world or find in the atomic shop and purchase. This is a simple house. And when you do something like this, and you place a wall, you can actually click on the wall, hit replace, and shift the wall into a door. And then inside here, you can place yourself a... Since they give you the metal frame bed, let's see which one that is. I'll go with this variant. Okay, the camera is getting on my nerves. It's good for building. You can build things up and around and fairly rapidly. But I have problems when it comes to placing things in it, and I'm trying to place furniture. It has to do with the perspective that the camera sits at whenever it flies, because it's flying just a little bit odd. But basically in here, all you're going to have is maybe that, and if you have Fallout first, you'll have this stash box. I don't recommend getting this until you actually know if you're going to play this game for... If you play the game for more than a week and you like it and want to play it some more, then get Fallout first. You'll get that stash box for Fallout first. You'll get this stash box in general. And if you have Fallout first, you'll also get this here, which is an ammo storage box. And you want to put a set of stairs here on the front. If my character wasn't in the way, they would already have snapped in place. That's the problem that I have too with this when it comes to placing things. The one item you should have at your camp that it should give you, I think it gives you the basic cooking station, which is this one here. And the two items you definitely want is a cooking station and some form of musical instrument. For sure. Really, you should probably have a cooking station, a musical instrument, and a bed. And that's because if your character sleeps and you play the musical instrument and you make yourself some food and you do your cooking and you eat it and you get all of your stats up, then you basically get more XP the more things you do. That's pretty basic house right there. It's not great, it's not wonderful, but it's basic. Whenever you play this game for a while, one of the other things you'll want to have down are these, which are vendors. And vendors are great for a lot of things because they allow you to unload plans, armors, legendary items that you have that you might not personally want to use, but somebody else might want. So you stick out a vendor at your camp, you go into it, and when you're in your vendor, here's what it looks like. All the things that I have up for sale have a little price tag beside of them. They're all in my inventory. They're not in the vending machines they're in the vending machines inventory, but they're in my inventory individually. They're in my stash box all the time. Hello. So this is one simple house. It has no real defensive values at all. It's just meant to get you a few buffs, let you go ahead and continue on with what they're doing. The wayward down there, when you go to it, you'll get a sign plan from it, from the vendor inside whenever you complete the quest. That's the only hint that I'm going to give you about what's going to happen when you go in there. You should enjoy it. It's the first thing you do in the game. It's the first real big quest line that you're going to get. Now, house-wise, let's go ahead and expand this a little bit. And I'll show you something else you can do with it. Now, as you progress around, you travel from area to area. Man, why don't these things want to snap today? It's like I want to snap, just not the way you want me to. You'll find vendors at each of the train stations. They'll be robots. There's only one spot in the game where you deal with human vendors. And that is all the way up here. And they're raider vendors. It's Crater. Crater is the only spot in the game that has traditional human vendors that you will talk to and buy things from. All other locations in the game, you deal with some form of robot, except down here at Nuka World on Tour. There are 2 human vendors that are set up down there. Well, technically 1 human vendor and 1 ghoul vendor. Everybody else in this whole thing is basically a bot vendor. There are traveling vendors that you'll find that are basically humans that came in with one of the DLCs, the Wasteland expansion. Now, the cool thing about going to the different train stations is each one will have a different set of benches. Some of them will have 2, some of them will have 3, some of them will only have 1, some of them may have, I don't think there's any one that I've been to that doesn't have at least 1. But you can throw down vendors, your benches that you find along the way. The other thing you want to put down is this right here. This is the punch card machine. They have these at the train stations in particular. That'll allow you to reset your character build as you go along and level up. Now, the defense category is kind of weird because most of the stuff that's in here is locked from you. Anything with the atomic shop number or the Fallout First thing, Fallout First items always come from the Fallout First, uh, from buying that subscription service. Atomic Shop items are only available through the Atomic Shop. Every other item that doesn't have the Atomic Shop logo is something you can get in game. For instance, like these barbed wire gates and fences. These railings here, they come from the Atomic Shop, but you actually get these from the quest line. There's a short quest that you can do that'll get you your own private vault. And your own private vault is just a little small vault, but you've got to go to a train station or all the way up to Vault 51 to find it. Now, most of the things in this defense category will unlock whenever you take over a workshop, like I was telling you earlier. And you'll want to make sure that you do that at least once. While you're low level to unlock those defensive items. And as I said before, the things that you really need to have at your camp, in truth, are the cooking station, the bed, and this guitar. Because almost everything else can be found out in the wasteland individually at different locations, except for the 2 Fallout First items, which is the stash box, or scrap box technically, and the ammo storage container. But everything else can be found out in the wasteland individually. So this is another simple build. Basically all I did was build a platform out from the house to make it more workable. Now once you've gotten to this point, if you've already taken over one of those workshops, one of the other things you'll unlock are these turrets. And the turrets will allow you to defend your house whenever you're, you know, otherwise occupied. Or at least make it so that if you're here and you get attacked, that you have something here to help you. Now, things to note. The vendor machine says it requires 3 power. It does, and it doesn't. The vendor will still work without power. It just doesn't light up and do its cool crap without it. These stairs, you can use them even though there's a big gap between the ground and here. A better choice of stairs in this situation would be these concrete ones because they're longer. They'll reach all the way to the ground. So you don't have that stupid gap at the bottom. You can build almost anywhere in this game except for locations that are marked, like the Overseers, the Wayward, Slocum Joe's, any place that actually has a real mark, you won't be able to build there. But everywhere else you shouldn't have a problem with. And even those locations, you can still build within a certain distance of those locations. Like I said, this camp here is right near the Overseers camp, right over here. It's not a perfect location by any means, but it has its benefits because you have the Overseers camp here to supplement any of the workbenches you don't have. You have water right behind the Wayward. The Wayward has a crop of corn right there. You can grab the corn, grab the water, make yourself some corn soup, and you have food that will both hydrate and fill your stomach. So you'll get both benefits of being hydrated and full at the same time. Now, the other thing you want to know is when you're building, in particular, you don't necessarily need more than what I've got here. You don't need to build big. You don't need to build like a lot of stuff. My budget right now has barely anything in it. I mean, I've barely used anything out of my budget. There's more things that I can throw down, but I don't necessarily need them. The one thing I would recommend, whenever you get the ability to build it, build this computer terminal here. It's a personal terminal. You should be able to unlock it as one of the items from the item shop. On the Atomic Shop, I think it's one of the items that's listed in that you can unlock for free whenever you start playing the game. This is how one of the things you have in game is a camera. There's the camera that is in photo mode, which is this camera that you can, zoom out and around and look at things with. And you can set up poses and different things like that. And then there's the camera that is an actual item in the game that your character can use, which is this one right here. And the quest to get it and all the stuff that goes with it is right inside of there. You unlock it with this. If you don't find it naturally when you're wandering around, because you can't find it. There's a dead guy that'll happily ask you to finish his quest, which is what this game used to be. It was all a bunch of notes. You were being drug around by dead people asking you to do quests. Okay, so the other option for building is, if you've already bought this game and you already know that you're going to play it, and one of the things you can unlock is these things. These are prefabs. They'll be in the Atomic Shop. You can buy them. I don't recommend buying a bunch of prefabs for this game unless you're going to actively play it, because they're expensive. I mean, some of these are things you have to do quests to earn. Some of them are things that are unlocked from uh, simply buying them, and some of them are just, things that were available as one-time items from the scoreboard system. But my personal favorite for like little camps, if I'm going to build a small camp, is to throw down this little thing right here. This is the CD shed. You can throw down a bed inside of it. You can throw down anything you want inside of it. Build it out just like this little house. Build yourself a little thing around it and make yourself a nice little home. It's the only prefab I recommend anybody buy. Usually goes for about 500 to 1,000 atoms when it's on sale. Comes with its own door. It's the only one that I would recommend. All the rest of them are just, they almost never get used. You'll find people that have built whole camps out of nothing but prefabs in this game. And I understand doing that. I even rate them whenever I go see them. Some of them are really cool, but some of them are not so cool. But I recommend doing whatever you think is best for you. And I always recommend that you have fun. So give this a shot. Hopefully you like it. Build yourself a nice little place. I recommend building here because there's a lot of quests that are tied directly to the Wayward across the street, and if you build right around here when you're low level, it at least gives you a place to, start and get things working with. This camp won't be here for long. I'll probably be tearing it down and moving it somewhere else. I'm just not sure what I want to do. I want to build a big raider build for this character. As you can tell, she's kind of already outfitted for it. But, yeah. Oh, and another thing. No matter what you name your character, there's only one event that I'm aware of that will allow you to, that your name for your character will ever show up. And that is one that takes place down here at Watoga High School. And it is a event that occurs where you go in, you put on a Halloween mask, and you run around chasing each other. And collect Halloween candy. It's actually kind of cool. You also fight a bunch of ghouls. So watch out for it. Hopefully you get to try it out. So have a nice day. Have fun. Good luck. If you have any questions, if there's anything that I can help you with, let me know. I'm always keen to answer anything you have.